Welcome back to Mindset with Matty. Today we have a special guest, Brock Bergelin, owner, co-owner, business side of CH Gear. He has been doing so much. He grew up wrestling, grew up a shoe fanatic, wrestled at Central Michigan University, and he is here on the podcast actually again. Where this is our second time doing this, but Brock, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Getting ready to go out to Las Vegas for the U.S. Open from
That's right.
Tuesday through next Monday, and excited to do a lot of networking. And I myself have 13 athletes coming up, so a couple 2 seeds in there, a couple 3s, a couple 4s that we're looking to make teams, man. So excited to coach, network, see you as well, and just watch a ton of good wrestling. You know how it is. It's the place to be.
Yes,
it's the best of the best.
Definitely, and that's one thing I actually wanted to quickly go off with. How are you balancing coaching and running such a great company? And for those who don't know what CH Gear is, I mean, it's everything wrestling. It started off as wrestling shoes, and now it's grown into gear. And so how are you balancing that coaching and working life right now?
Honestly, I would just say, the ability to start doing it straight after college and maybe, like a lot of people when they get to the end of college, like they just didn't really have, like that real drive to go do something. And for me, I just kind of always grew up knowing what my dream job would be. And luckily I just kind of got in the right position where I could make that happen and at least try to move. And I tried to move with my own brand for, 2.5 years for 3-point takedown or 3.5, and then kind of just slowed it down and pivoted with another business partner who really knew the marketing side, and just focused on where I was good, which was really the product lines, the inner workings of wrestling, knowing what people wanted, right? Knowing how to create buzz within the wrestling world. And I kind of got to focus more on my strengths. And then my business partner as well got to focus on what he was really good at and, come together with a real, long-term business plan to maybe compete against the best, So it's been a real journey throughout these last real 4.5 years, but really a lifetime of being a wrestling shoe collector and, being involved within that community,
Yeah, definitely. And you saying you started off with 3-point. And that was the original name and the original shoe, which I still have. And I still have a pair that is totally fine. And I sometimes still wear. And, but what was this inspiration of, because you said you knew this is what you wanted to do right after college. So where did this inspiration spark at such a young age? Is this was it the shoe community? Because a lot of people who don't know wrestling don't know about kind of this black market side of wrestling where everyone's selling shoes and singlets and all this stuff, and it's just kids.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things, honestly, that led me to really dive into the business and really dive in and take it, maybe to the extremes that most other people aren't trying to do right now. But the real things for me was growing up within the wrestling community as an extrovert. I think I just naturally met so many people, and me and you, we also just traveled the whole country constantly. So just being past the surface level of friendship between so many people geographically within the United States, and two high impact people, because it was the people doing the most and creating the most impact within their own communities. And then honing in on those relationships from a networking standpoint, right? And really seeing who wanted to ride with the brand and who wanted to be involved with it, and figuring out what we can do to get them involved and take away, maybe anything that would stop them from getting involved, right? Or any barriers to entry, to that. And then putting myself out there again on the business side, and not just hey, Brock the wrestler, but hey, here's this whole other side of me, and kind of rebranding my own personal network to be that over the years through coaching 12 months a year. Right. And so it's been a journey, and it's been 12 months out of the year doesn't really ever end. And again, I've got to try to constantly wear a different hat than maybe I wore from 5 to 23. Now that, I'm 23 to, through 27 since I've been doing this. Right. But it's been a journey, man. And I think the collector side is really cool because it's kind of done its own thing. And like it was a lot of like collector items that just, hey, you can't get these shoes or you couldn't get them for 5 to 10 years. And they just become more rare and throughout value. And now, those shoes are constantly phasing in, and like shoes that were kind of lame 10 years ago are now cool. And then it's like, and it does its own phases of like, hey, what's cool today? So from the business side of like selling to the masses, like you got to really figure out, hey, what's cool, what's practical, what does the customer want? And then like knowing the wrestling shoe side really gave me a pivot, because it's really hard to do, right? So
Yeah.
few people can do that, and there's such a high cost to start, right? Too, which luckily I was able to like save up a lot of money throughout, working as a software engineer, which really helped me, right? Fund that alongside just constantly working other jobs to fundraise for it, to really seed into the company. But it's like, now it's kind of doing its own thing a little bit, right? And now we're just focusing on making the right plays and planning for the next year, and really streamlining this process and trying to, really make it a thing where it's not a crap show anymore, and it's, it's a stream ship line, because last year we had to figure out a lot on the fly,
Yeah.
just constantly the brand just doing its own thing. And we're still pivoting and adding a lot of product lines too. So that's, poses its own thing, with
Yeah.
how you get into every single market, because it's not just wrestling shoes anymore,
I know, and that's so cool, because I remember when you were pitching this, because back when it was just the 3-point, or just the spark of idea, like, hey, I'm gonna make wrestling shoes, and I'm gonna take inspirations of the shoes I loved growing up, and the shoes that no one makes anymore because they're older shoes, and the design is older, but people still love those shoes, and you're like, I'm gonna take this, make these older designs, and make these. But you said, I'm just gonna focus on the shoe, and I think that's what helped Chosen Hire CH Gear so much, is because you were like, it's just gonna be about the shoe. Because that, honestly, wrestlers, the headgear comes and goes, whatever. But every wrestler, they care and they love about their shoes. It's like if I'm wearing a specific pair of shoes, I know I'm going to go do good. They feel a certain way. I love how they feel. I love how they look. And I love that you were just so honed in on the shoes, and you didn't try to tackle everything at once. You said, it's kind of like in wrestling, you're at a big tournament, can't win all the matches at once. You got to take it one match at a time. And you were like, you know what? One match at a time, one thing at a time, good. Just go for the shoes. And that's what I loved. And I also loved like how well you were able to take constructive criticism, or just because I feel like we kind of helped out with that, where you were like, you literally said, try to break the shoes, try to do everything, wrestle every workout in them, lift in them, and see where they rip, see if they rip. And I feel like it was sometimes sad though, because if they did rip, I was like, because I would love the shoes so much, and I'd be like, no, they ripped.
Yeah. Well, and I know too, and the crazy thing is too, is like I've had devastating failures within this company too, like a lot of successes, but like a couple, like that one shoe design, like I consider like a devastating failure, and like it was tough to go through that side of it, where like, like you only do shoes, and if you fail on one part of it, well, like you failed, and like that's all you have for your whole business for 4 months. And like for a while there, it was like, like it was a learning process, and like I really did have to go like, hey, slow. Like year one was only one shoe, one colorway, and then year two, like we did 2 models, and then like 7 colorways, but then really it wasn't till year 3 when I added Caden in that I really was ready to like had a great grasp on the design, and now like our XXVI color, like our model is even, like better than our last one, like, so we just continually improve and take feedback, from our customer. We're super fine tuned with our audience. We know what's going on, we listen well too, and we want to change and be the best we can for them, because that's only going to help us.
Yeah. And it's almost like, once you found a shoe that works, you didn't go, okay, well, now I'm just done with it, though, because I want to make a different design. You're like, no, I'm going to come out with different colorways now, or slightly adjust them to make them even better, like the XXVs you said, which I also love because they're just that classic zipper, zip-up shoe, and I always loved those growing up just because, I mean, you didn't have to worry about tape ever, and the zip always made it like really secure. And the colorways that came out were just absolutely amazing, and I love them. I still don't know which one I'm gonna wear at Vegas. I'm gonna bring probably like two or three of them, but
Well, and here's the crazy thing too, Matty. Like let's bring up the zipper shoes, right? So it's
yeah,
like you think about like, hey, like the Asics zip ups, right? Like people loved them or whatever, like the John Smiths too,
hmm,
right? It's like Asics back then as Asics was what, maybe three colorways throughout 4 years, right?
yeah,
Is that probably true for those models? And it's like, dude, like we released, you know, three or four different models of zipper shoes with over 20 colorways in total for our customers within the last 2 years. So like the type of risk that we're taking on our end for to give our customers as many variations and other things that, you know, like that matters in today's day and age is pretty crazy. You
yeah,
know, like if you just think about the evolution of the wrestling shoe market within itself compared to the social media era and just the customers' decision making and what involves with that, it's wild, dude. That's where I really thrive, but like that's a whole sector of the business, you know, and a whole market case study in itself, you know.
yeah. And I also love how I mean, I feel like Asics just ran the wrestling community for so long. Like because their shoes were built to last. Honestly, I mean they were a reasonable price too. But everybody had Asics. I had Asics growing up, and now it's funny too because those really old Asics shoes, like those Tigers and stuff like that, that you can only get in Japan or if people go overseas. Those were, the really old shoe not a lot of people had. And now, like, you see this huge change in turn where everyone's like, well, I want the old stuff. Like, I want that, but I want it new. So then ASIC's like, okay, I guess we'll just remake them. And that's what I love. I love that cycling back because eventually I feel like your company is going to get that where you're like, man, we have these people kind of want this old style. It's coming back. I guess we're going to re-release some shoes that we did, like some of the first original shoes, and just do them better again. And I just love that in wrestling, how it's like, it's almost like there's always this vintage turn that will happen. Or how you were saying, shoes from 10 years ago that weren't popular are really popular now just because the fact that you can't get them. And that's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of our like original shoes on eBay for like 250 or 300. And I know our Wyatts are like gone.
Mm-hmm. I still got a pair of
And
those.
yeah, those things are almost gone outside of a couple sizes. So it'll be cool to see that stuff. I mean, obviously, I love it. I mean, I go to Fargo every year, which is like, for people that don't know this, it's like the place to trade wrestling shoes.
Yes.
And it's like the national tournament for like high school to get recruited at, really high level competition. But in between rounds, like people will trade at the black market. And I'll go and interact. And I grew up, going to the black market and trading a ton and, being a part of that community. But I like still go and like interact with people. And, like I even like will trade down. Like me and Caden will do this, my business partner, where like, hey, you had like a crappy experience with a shoe or something and you tell us a story about it. We might trade down if we like the story and like, hey, give you a brand new pair of shoes for your busted shoes. And we just throw them in the garbage, but like, we literally do that for our customers just to like have a couple positive interactions and like feed into the community,
Yeah, that is so awesome. And I even saw recently you guys literally had a pop-up shop and I was like, "Oh, this is so sweet. I wonder like what it is." But except it was basically just for free. I mean, they just spun a wheel and whatever it landed on, that's the free thing they got, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody, the worst prize you could get was a new pair of our chosen hire socks, our performance socks that we came out with. But then, so like for instance, you might roll like, hey, sing a Justin Bieber verse. And then to get the sock, you got to sing a little verse or like, hey, do 25 push-ups. But then some you just flat out won it. Some you might have to like arm wrestle your buddy, like fun interactive things to, get involved with our community, have fun. And then also, like here's someone like, hey, what's your favorite wrestling memory or tell us a joke, and just get actively involved within the community, and then two, like let people try out our products, you know. And the next day at Greco, I probably saw 30 people wearing our knee pad, you know,
Yeah.
in Greco, in Greco the
And
day
Greco.
after getting them. So
Yeah.
it's cool, you know, because like the kids, if you really reach out, man, like wrestling wants to be cared for. Like you see it with RAF, like you see it with a couple other brands. They're doing a good job. Like when you show the wrestling community that you care, it pays dividends. You know, I've seen it, you know, and I'm 4 to, you know, really 5 years and really my whole lifetime of like dividends, right? And like really year 3 is when a lot of the dividends started, you know, to like start teetering in my favor, you know. But it's kind of like, it's weird how, you know, like you can really just start shifting, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Not
Oh,
weird, but like there's a lot of truth to it, you know,
a-
of just the shift. It'll just start happening.
and even what you were doing right before NCAA's, you know, literally what, 4 weeks ago, you guys posted a video that said all you gotta do is comment, or it was like comment or DM us, and you'll get a free pair of the performance socks to wear at NCAA's. Because I mean, I feel like in wrestling, man, there's just a lot of faith. There's a lot of Christians, a lot of believers, and I think it's because of the sport. It takes so much on your mental side that you almost have to rely on somebody else, and that someone else is normally Jesus Christ, you know. And so it's such a powerful and big thing in the wrestling community. And the fact that you guys just gave away all those socks, you know, the amount of people I saw wearing those socks, it was crazy. You know, like, well, I was wearing them. I saw Ty Waters wear them, who's All American, and I saw them everywhere. And I was like, man, a lot of kids actually just straight up, you know, typed in this or commented, and there was a lot of great wrestlers commenting who all wanted these socks, and it was so cool that they got them, and then you saw them wearing them too.
Hey, you know what's the best part? A lot of those socks didn't even come in time just because some of the kids like reached out a little bit too late,
Hmm.
which sucks. But anyways, I think we sent out socks to 25% of the NCAA tournament.
That is actually
It
insane.
was either 20, it was like 20 or 21% of the NCAA tournament we sent socks to before the first whistle was wrestled. And obviously, right, like Ohio State's, like their whole team would have got them, but like they didn't come in time, and like that would have been pretty wild. But again, like now they got the socks, like, you know, like whenever they want to support or represent their faith, like, dude, like, and I think too, to go back to your point of like chosen higher and like what that means as a brand is like, you know, like obviously you do need, you know, like a certain higher belief, whether it be in Jesus and you know, like your faith, or yeah, it's hard to do without it, right? And like I've seen people be really good without being believers, but the sport just constantly tests your willpower and will bring you to some lows that are just uncontrollable. And it's just really hard to be really good in the sport without believing in some sort of higher power, or doing it for your family, or you know, or doing it for yourself or your storyline, right? Maybe you grew up with it, you know, like I've seen some wild stories of like people with some crazy adversity that pushes them through, but like whatever it may be, like in order to be great in the sport, there's truly got to be something that's keeping you going through all those hard workouts and weight cuts and everything. And like for a lot of people in wrestling, it's Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like, especially in college and moving away from home and having to do adulthood on my own, like it really inspired my faith journey into like doing it for more, especially, you know, like when there's no storylines and you're getting banged up and you're not getting to compete all the time or prove yourself. And like, and it really just tests, you know, like what is your purpose, you know, because like it's not going to be within wrestling or your accomplishments. Like it's truly not going to like help you. And even like for me now, like I face my own unique set of, you know, things that like, you know, really test, you know, like, and like really is revolved around like my faith and like where, you know, like my mental frustrations are in certain aspects of my life. But then you have to have that reflection, you know, and like realize that like, hey, it's not about this. It's like, it's for the love of the game. Like I love doing this, and like God gave me this purpose, you know, to do this mission.
Exactly.
And like when it gets tough, because it really does, like, I mean, it's very easy to like see it as a business and a dream compared to like 10,000 orders,
Yeah.
and like in a full-time job and like other things. And like it's really been even reflective in my own journey, because it hasn't always been perfect or linear. And like there are a lot of times where like, it's tested, and you also too have access to funds to really help people. And like that's been, like one of our biggest things is like we're trying to like build like between me and Kaden, like build a little not-for-profit fund and kind of do like a new logo that's got like a CH with like a cross at the end,
Yeah, I've been
and just
seeing
sell
some of
a little
those
bit of
mock-ups. Those
supply.
sick.
Yeah, I think I sent you some of those, but just as like a way of like, hey, maybe we commit to, like 10 or 20% of our apparel. We use that logo, and then anytime we use that logo, we like build a not-for-profit fund to pour back into the sport for people when they come along hard times, or really good kids that like have shown like, hey, I'm working really hard, and with my GPA and in wrestling, but like, hey, I don't have the funds to do a certain thing, and maybe be able to help some people, and give back within it. So excited to do some of those things back into the sport,
Yeah,
would be fun.
that is awesome. Step on the mat in gear built for wrestlers who demand more. CH Gear delivers performance wrestling shoes, training gear, knee pads, backpacks, and apparel designed with grit, faith, and competition in mind. From the XXVs line to all the way to America's heavyweight signature gear, CH Gear is made for athletes who want comfort, durability, and style that stands out. Guys, these shoes are absolutely incredible. I wear them all right now. I've even worn them when I'm not supposed to. They're absolutely incredible. So whether you're grinding through practice, prepping for a tournament, or representing your team, CH Gear has you covered. CH Gear, made for the chosen, built for the climb. Check them out at chgearwrestling.com. The faith, I mean, that is so true. Just wrestling for something bigger than yourself. And that's what I love so much about your guys' brand, because it's a shoe. It started off as a shoe, then turned into gear. And it's kind of inspiring to see that you and Caden, like, you guys don't want to hide your faith. I mean, there's just no point to it. It used to be like, oh, don't talk about your faith. Don't talk about politics. And stuff like that. Like those were the two no-nos. Like just let anybody do whatever they want, but you're not hiding it, and that's what I love. And I think a lot more people are seeing that, and I think you can see it, especially across wrestling, that people are just more open about their faith, and it kind of just gets everybody talking about it. And that's what I love, those conversations that you have. Like it starts with wrestling, goes into faith, and like you were saying with these mental, the wrestling will tear you down. I mean, it definitely does. And the way to get back up is through everything you've done in wrestling, and then honestly depending on something bigger than yourself, which whether you said family, but a lot of times for me especially, it was Jesus, just relying on God and pushing forward. And I can see you're still doing that, especially in that business world. And like you said, you felt like you didn't really even have like real success till year 3. That's really hard to continue to work, continue to go after this goal when you had some failures and setbacks where you're like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? And you just kept your nose to the grindstone. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a journey, and you got to take the highs with a grain of salt, and you got to take your lows with a grain of salt. And like I just think that the more that you can stay in the middle emotionally and like take the right baby steps, the better off that you will be. But like a lot of times, like truthfully, like a lot of faith-based things like being patient, and it helps. Like I know it sounds simple, but like really just like being patient, and it's like something horrible happens. It's like, okay, how can I handle this? And it's like I'll make so many personal calls, for where this business is at. Like we're still, really 3 full-time employees, Caden marketing, me, a lot of different hats, and then Kyle kind of just with operations,
Mm-hmm.
right? But outside of that, like, dude, like we get tested a lot. And also too, like just so much happens within the business, and there's so many things that like, hey, like we're not using AI chatbots or anything like that. Like, no, like we're calling people like
Yeah.
personally, like either me or Kyle when I'm right next to him in the basement. And like, we've really kept this thing close to home. And, like even in our worst situations, we can at least get people understanding, of like, hey, who we are and, try to make some of those bad situations at least neutral. And it's like, we are putting in our effort with every single transaction that happens within the company.
Yeah. And also to what you're saying that like cuz with that potential new logo and starting that nonprofit, I mean this is just an idea I just had when you said that cuz I've had a lot of teammates on my team and I asked them like, "Oh, did you go to Fargo?" And because, like how'd you get picked up basically? And they're like, "No, I couldn't go to Fargo. My family couldn't afford it." Cuz like Wisconsin is actually pretty affordable for the Fargo team. You don't have to buy the singlets. You can wear those borrowed singlets. You don't have to do every team thing and or buy all the gear. But a lot of these other states, that's like a mandatory thing where it costs, per kid $1,000. And there are some families who just can't afford it, but it sucks because Fargo is such a big recruiting tournament. Like every college coach pretty much goes to Fargo or has someone on staff that goes to Fargo to watch, and it's where kids can get noticed. And I think maybe like that could be the big thing is almost like a Fargo scholarship kind of thing. If you show, like
Exactly.
if you show like you really can't afford it, but you're a good wrestler, you're trying to get out there and you got good grades or something like that, like that could be such a great benefit to some of those guys who, not only could you like do they get to go to Fargo? They get like a pair of shoes to wear if they want to, like out there, or like a knee pad and stuff. But yeah, sorry, that was just an idea I had because I've heard so many wrestlers say, from their state, they're like, oh, I couldn't go because it's so expensive for my state to go.
Yeah, that's exactly what the club that I coach at, Michigan Premier, that's exactly what we're doing is we're going to use the team gear and like I will be doing it obviously and we're just donating like X% of proceeds to go back into the club for hey, here's this trip and like if you want to apply for the scholarships at the beginning of the year, like like you apply to the scholarships and then us three coaches will go over it. You'll like whatever like basic like here's around what our family makes and we will know too, like what the kid's doing in practice and are they trying to compete, like what is their attitude like, and then hopefully be able to help these kids out, go to some of these tournaments, right, and really help them back. Because there's a lot of families and stuff that want a ton of gear, and then there's a ton of families that also are within the club that like couldn't go to a tournament, and it's like we're being able to use gear as a means to feed back into the club is going to be a great little not-for-profit outlet for us. And I think too, like more like NIL programs like the Stilly Boys, right? Like look at what they've done with their own personal brand, man. And
Yeah,
that's money feeding back into their program, left and right every day.
dude, we were just talking about that. I was having a meeting with well, I was just actually talking about it with my fiance who's big in the media and just talking about how Arkansas RTC, how do we grow the RTC by not like grow it in other areas other than just like bringing wrestlers in, right? And it's honestly that social media side. And, instead of just calling it Arkansas RTC, like make the Instagram name something cool. And for us, I thought of the nickname, or like me and Joey thought of the nickname Backwater Boys, because one time, like we were called Backwater Boys after a duel. We beat Arizona State. And the commentator for us, it was on our own website, so he was very, very biased. But he just, it was like his first time, and he didn't really know the respect you're supposed to give on the mic as much. So there was a lot of comments, a lot of mean comments, people really upset. And someone said like, "Oh, these stupid Backwater Boys don't know anything." And then so we took that name. I thought it was so funny, and we took that name and then we put it on the back of our crew necks when we went to conference that year. And it was so funny, but it became a little nickname for us. And I was like, oh my gosh, why don't we, like, that'd be a cool Instagram that's like not affiliated with the school that could grow the RTC slash, team as well.
Well, right. I mean, dude, like that's a real thing that we could do, and like we're doing it with Kent State next year. You know, maybe I'll have Neil give you a ring maybe after I get home back. Well, I guess I'll maybe see him at the Open too. But like,
Yeah.
we're talking to the Wisconsins. You know, we're locked in with Kent State. 200 shoes. You know, don't tell anyone. But like,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
is
like
awesome.
those are things. And like again, that's money that's going back into their programs. We're really not taking huge cuts out of this. You know,
Yeah.
like we're not doing like 90-10 splits. Like, no, like we're giving programs a real path to maybe make $15,000 a year off a wrestling shoe that can go back into their program without trying to do 600 shoes, you know, because those things aren't possible because you got to keep it cool and jazzed up and you got to put out a new one probably every year to do it. But it's going to be exciting to partner with universities that really want to grow their social media and want to win in 2026 in the new era, right?
Yeah.
And give these programs a means to give back into the athletes, you know, that they want for their university, right? Because they're going to have to hustle, you
And
know,
and that's
but
what I wanted to ask, like how can CH get involved in those college universities where they can be on those NCAA mats, because a lot of schools like, oh, well, we're sponsored by Nike because it's like a football school, or we're Adidas, but it seems like those Under Armour schools, a lot of time they wear, because Under Armour doesn't have a wrestling shoe, but a lot of times
yeah,
they just wear kind of the three shoes I've seen them wear are Rudis, Asics, and Spartan. And it seems like those Under Armour schools are almost a little bit up for grabs with what shoes they can wear. Am I correct in
right.
saying that?
Yeah, I know. And we're going to be going heavily into that market because that's a relationship based market, right? So like, and like people, if anyone like listen to this, it's like funny, but it's like, hey, Scott Mattingly, North Dakota State, right? Like they're an
Yeah.
Under Armour school, right? Gavin Drexler, who's both of our friends, is on that active roster, and Scott Mattingly went to the same college that I went to for wrestling, Central Michigan.
Oh, really? That's so awesome.
So I know that contract slipped up this year, but it sounds like next year we'll for sure be in. But I think UW Wisconsin's going to be ours. I know Kent State is ours.
I mean,
I
it's just
think
so cool.
Skilly Boys brand could be a possibility. Like Little Rock's brand could be a possibility. But it's cool because again, like these programs that want to win have to find ways so that they can fundraise for their program, right? Like unique ways, and we are that unique ways because we'll sell and give real profit share to like really nice wrestling backpacks, knee pads, wrestling shoes, right? And like a couple other mark products that are just unique. And two, like we're really getting ourselves out there and willing to get involved with the programs. Like for instance, for Wisconsin, like what we're proposing is like, hey, your first home dual meet, me and Caden will go there and we'll, run us like a drop right there, give out the first 5 kids in line, get a free pair of shoes. So get kids tenting out, get content of them tenting out,
Yeah.
and then do a drop of 100 Wisconsin wrestling shoes at the event, whatever, like throw out a couple t-shirts. Caden would do like a bazooka gun. And it's like, we do that at a couple of these universities and really connect at an interpersonal level.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not, like, hey, we made a shirt on a site, right? Like a shirt's whatever, but like, hey,
The shoes
just
are,
think about like the
yeah.
Kent State Ruans and stuff, how crazy that was. And that's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And we'd
I'm
love to get some of these bigger universities too that are even Nike and stuff. It's just hard because they can't wear them and match to market. And there's a lot of logistics there.
Yeah. But it's so cool. I mean, I even think about Under Armour. I mean, well, I think about those old Nike shoes that had actual team logos on it. Those like those, I don't know if they were Colats or something, but there was Penn State, Oregon, Purdue, Arizona State, and they had the actual logos on them, and no one does that anymore. I'm like, how, like, how easy that would to be slap on? I feel like it's just like an effort thing. But like even for you, like
No,
say
it's not. It's a money
a
thing.
money thing. Oh,
So like
okay.
that's what it is. So like for instance, if Nike wants to use Penn State's trademark logo, 30%, right?
Dang. Okay.
And so like in a Nike, like they don't care enough about wrestling. They just want to be present in it. So like
Yeah.
they really subcontracted out to Athlete Teps. So like Athlete Teps is already sub-licensing Nike's logo, so Athlete Teps couldn't pay both the Nike's licensing logo and the Penn State licensing logo and make a dime.
Oh, I
Does that
get
make
it. Yeah,
sense?
that does
But
make
that's
sense.
where like we're lucrative because like we're building our own brand and doing it from the ground up with like no fluff. So we have the margins to really get back into these brands because we're really lightweight and strapped and built on, working hard and keeping it, small and picking up, and being a team, and kind of bouncing things around between me, Caden, my employee, and obviously the athlete team that we have as well.
Yeah. And this is just back again. So I think about like NDSU, right? Like you guys don't have a green and yellow shoe, but you've made a maroon and yellow shoe and a navy blue and yellow shoe. And the green and yellow shoe, I mean, you can make it specifically for NDSU and then almost like sell their shoes exclusively at duels. Like where if you want a shoe like they have, you have to go to the duels and go get them. Like you can't even buy them online. Or like
Well,
same thing
right.
with
And it's like,
Wisconsin, like you can make that red and white, or sometimes I've honestly seen them use black a lot. So you could do like red and black, and then same thing, like hey, if you want a Wisconsin shoe or the Bucky shoe that these wrestlers are wearing, the only way to do it, man, you gotta go to a duel. You gotta go support and then go get the shoe there or something like that. But I mean, this is just ideas like that I think about.
yeah, for sure, man. And I mean, we'll see what we can do for each program. I mean, obviously, the attendance has got to be at a certain point before we can take so much, risk on our end.
Mm-hmm.
But programs that are trying to do good, again, it will only do better with our brand's help, right? Because like if we need, like we will get there personally and do that to make it cool. And really show off our brand and really use our marketing efforts to drive more people at the duels, hopefully, right? I mean, it's just another cool thing that the universities can do to get more involved with their own fan bases, right? Because like you said, like, hey, am I going to go to a Wisconsin duel? Well, yeah, I want to go to one, but am I going to go? But it's like, hey, I can only get these shoes if I go to this duel. We're going, and that
Yeah.
should help these programs, like especially like, like a Wisconsin. And I'm going to be talking to Bono next week, Chris Bono, head coach of UW Badgers.
Yep.
But it's like those things can be massive for a program to get involved with the community. I mean, Oklahoma State showed what getting involved and intact with the community is, and Wisconsin's just a hotbed of wrestling, waiting for the Badgers to really take off and really do what it should. And, hopefully this can be one good step towards that, right? Of really getting all the kids involved and the community involved into Badger wrestling. Because I want to see it do good.
Yeah, and I mean, especially how you mentioned Oklahoma State. I mean, I dueled there in February, and dude, it was I think Little Rock is a pretty exciting program, but this was just their common home duel crowd, and it was absolutely packed. I mean, it was insane. Like it was one of the loudest atmospheres besides the NCAA's that I've been in, and it was just for a duel to watch 10 matches, and it's crazy. So. Yeah, I mean, there's so much potential there, and I love that you've already been thinking about this. I feel like whenever I think of something, like you're like, oh, dude, I've been on it, and it's so awesome to see that. And then another thing I wanted to bring up, not like I feel like wrestling just it's a bomb like waiting to just explode. I mean, even us down here, Lil Rock, we've only done this was our 7th season, right? But now our wrestling is the most followed account of any of the Lil Rock sports. We have 20,000 followers. We've been in the top 25 the last 3 years. Like there's other sports that Lil Rock that do good, but just like the how good we got so quick. I mean, it's blowing up, which is why I think marketing side, Lil Rock has like we gotta capture this in this moment and ride this wave, and we just got Masama and Dean. I mean, it's growing. This place is growing, and it's really exciting to see, and I'm so glad that I've been a part of it and I'm still a part of it. And it's just so awesome to see that hopefully Little Rock can be inspirations to these other schools, that whether your school is like kind of in a drought, it's been dying, it can kind of make a comeback. Or if you're a new school, there's a blueprint on how to do this a little bit, and you can do it and you can be popular, and or like just grow your team. And that's why I also love what Stilly Boys does. I mean, you watch those videos, the people who run that account are fantastic, so they
Oh
make.
yeah, I know Danny. Danny is the guy. Shout out Danny.
Yeah,
He's another guy, man, that's got a good story. If you ever want to get another random guy that probably hasn't been on a podcast,
get him.
he's the behind the camera guy, Danny. But
He's
he
everywhere on
helped
those trips.
David start K2 Roots, and he was David's personal videographer for when David was competing.
No
So
way.
David hired him full on in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he actually moved with David, left Pennsylvania to go to Oklahoma and be Oklahoma State's social media guy and still David's personal social media guy. And so he's been wearing all those hats, but he's like best friends with Wyatt now. He's married to, he just got married to Dustin Plott's wife actually, but he's a great dude, jiu-jitsu guy. But I got to hang out with him for a couple days, and I actually saw him I shook hands with him when I was hanging out with you at the NCAAs. He was walking past.
No way.
I figured him
Okay.
out. That was cameraman Dan.
Dude,
Yep.
that's so awesome. Yeah,
He's
because
awesome, though.
they have
Yeah.
Stilly Boys, and they almost have like these YouTube videos too that are like the climb, like these episodes and stuff. But I mean, what's he doing? He makes every video, like every little practice video, it looks like the Oklahoma State team is like always having fun, playing games, stuff like that. But and I'm sure that's not always the practices. They probably have real practices that are really hard and stuff like that. But it's just when you look at that account, you look at the Oklahoma State team, you go, man, that team looks like they're always having fun. Like it kind of shows like some characteristics of some of the guys on the team where maybe a little kid goes, man, that I like him so much. I want to go to the duel and watch him. And that's what's so good about it. And that's what other teams need, that seeing more than just the wrestling part and kind of getting the behind the scenes of how these wrestlers on the team actually are. So then you can see their character. And then if they have a very likable character, people will go to the duels just to watch that one guy. Like for instance, like Wyatt Hendrickson, there's a lot of videos on him. A lot of people have seen he's a pretty funny looking dude, like does fun stuff. It does crazy stuff, rides little scooters around, rides a motorcycle around, like, what you guys did with like his heavyweight shoes, lighting fireworks off. Like he looks like a really fun guy to hang out with. And I'm sure like people go like RAF's happening. Oh, we got Wyatt Henderson. I'm gonna watch RAF just to watch Wyatt. He looks like a fun guy. He looks funny. That's America's heavyweight. I want to watch him. It just brings in this different likable aspect besides just the wrestling. Because people like people. That's what really is real. People like how a certain guy wrestles, but then at the end of the day, it's the people liking the actual person, I think.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, it's just really knowing somebody, is so important in today's day and age. Is just like, especially with social media and like people have a certain access to people, and like fortunately or unfortunately, like you can make a lot out of this world if you use social media in the right way, right? And like my business partner is like probably the prime example of that within wrestling,
Oh
right?
yeah, Caden has done a fantastic job.
He's done an absolutely incredible job of being consistent, of being real and raw, and taking people through life's highs and lows and real reflection, and bringing it back to his faith and in who he is as a person, right? And reflecting on it and growing, and really taking people through that journey, and not really hiding a ton either, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, man, I mean, be curious to see. I mean, it's definitely relevant, right? Like if you want to get recruited or get sponsorship deals, like you got to let people in to a certain point of like, hey, who you are,
Exactly. And Yeah, Brock. I mean, we're gonna wrap it up soon here, but I mean, you're gonna be out in Vegas. I'm so excited to see you. I'm so glad I was able to get you back on here because we missed that. We missed that first one went away, and I'm so glad I was able to get you back on here because it's also relevant. I mean, you're gonna be out in Vegas, and I believe you posted on your story. If people can find you, they might get some gear. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna be traveling around with a couple extra luggage bags and stuff, so it'll be curious, man. I mean, I've always been a person that's wanted the chance to just show what I can do, and we're gonna give a lot of chances out this weekend. I mean, we'll say that much, but I'm gonna be bringing some of our new. We got 5 new shoe colorways, which is wild. But did you get
Um,
yours?
uh, did they deliver to that address? Because then we could go get them. Yeah.
Yeah, go get them. Go get
Okay.
them today.
Okay.
But yeah, they should have been delivered. I can check for you again, but we got 5 new colorways coming in. I've got all of our new freestyle and Greco singlets in, bringing those out to,
Yeah.
again, it's like if there's prospective athletes that I've been interested in for a while, go shake their hand and introduce myself and see if they want a chance to represent the brand and maybe, further the relationship, and see who's out there, and again, who wants to work and be a part of the team chosen higher, right? Because it is a very particular individual. But those type of individuals, man, I always love working with, and we're always looking to add the right person onto the team if it's the right fit, and yeah, just excited to meet people, man, and really show people some of our products and, see a lot of really high level wrestling,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice getting you on here, man. And yeah, thanks for having me on. I mean,
I'm
got to talk a
excited.
lot before seeing you.
Yeah, I'm excited, and hopefully I'll get to wear some of those singlets, dude. I mean, they look so awesome, and yeah, because I need a red one too. I need a red one. I got a blue one, but I need a red one at least.
Well, I got red and blue new ones for you,
Okay.
so I'll
Oh,
have to give you
perfect.
both.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk soon, but don't worry about that. I'll be bringing everything out. Just let me know if you don't end up getting the shoes
oh,
because I'm gonna be bringing some out anyways. But
okay.
regardless,
Sounds awesome, dude. And well, thank you again. Again, Mindset with Matty. You can see Brock Bergelin here, still using that wrestling mindset. Has to go through the ups and downs in his company, CH Gear, chosen higher. And he's not only just doing this for himself, he's doing it for the community, the wrestling community. He's going to be out in Las Vegas for the U.S. Open. If you can find him, you might get a chance to get some gear. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. Brock, thank you again for coming on, and it's just going to be so great. I'm also going to be out at the U.S. Open, scrapping, having fun, doing what I love, and it's going to be a great time. So thank you for tuning in again. Mindset with Matty.